Maybe he was becoming obsessive. Khalil shifted in the hard plastic seat. While aesthetically pleasing, it clearly wasn't made for guys over 6 feet who wanted their asses not to hurt while they sat in waiting rooms. He squinted, focusing again on the potted plant next to the far window. It had to be fake. He counted the little white flowers again. There were 7. Were there 7 last month? He was sure there were 7 2 weeks ago. Before that, he couldn't remember. And it was spring, but still, that seemed like a lot of flowers for the time of year. Maybe he was making something out of nothing. Mr. Sarda? The low rumble of his doctor's voice bounced off the empty seats, rolling over the modern concrete floor. Dr. E, he said, standing to shake his hand and follow him into his office. What's new? Dr. Edwards asked from his leather armchair, smiling at Khalil as he settled into a much more comfortable seat on the other side of the coffee table. Khalil took a deep breath, sliding his palms together. This was always the strange part, the transition from wherever his head was in the waiting room to focusing on what he wanted to talk to Dr. E about. But this was part of his new normal. Talking openly to people he'd met after his breakdown 6 months ago was a challenge. Well, it's been a good couple of weeks, I think. Work's been busy, but good. He slid his phone out of his pocket, opening it to his mood-tracking app. I've been on a nice trend lately, he said, handing it over. If you're being honest, you've been on a nice trend the past 2 months, said Dr. E, after taking a moment to read. You haven't had a relapse? You've been taking your medication as prescribed? Last time you told me you felt you'd turned a page. He handed Khalil his phone back. Yeah, he said, sliding it into his pocket. It's just... He ran his hands down his jeans. Kareem brought it up. Me still not dating. Dr. Edwards leaned back in his chair, his hands relaxed on his khaki-covered thighs. What did he have to say? He asked. It was a joke, him ribbing me, you know. But he made a good point. Dr. Edwards kept listening, his expression neutral. Khalil stifled an urge to call his therapist Uncle Phil. Certain other patients already had. It's been ages since I've been interested in a woman. I don't know the last time it's been this long. It had taken a while, but Khalil was finally comfortable with Dr. Edwards' nod, his silent response. Khalil caught himself readjusting his watch and the friendship bracelets his niece had made for him. His watch band easily covered the scar, but there wasn't any harm in being careful. The Khalil the player joke always made him uncomfortable. He knew it came from a good place, from both his twin and his best friend Darius. And yeah, from the outside looking in, he could admit that it might once have seemed like he fit that description. He loved women. He'd never treat them as disposable. But since he hadn't been able to keep his sadness in check, and Nia had left him, and things had gone bad, he'd lost interest. Which now that he was doing better felt really strange. Though after the past few months he'd had, he wasn't sure what was supposed to be normal and what was supposed to be strange anymore. Maybe it's a good thing, Khalil continued. What's that? Dr. Edwards asked. That I'm noticing, that I'm missing having someone in my life. Maybe it's a sign that I'm getting back to myself, he said, shrugging. I don't know. Dr. Edwards nodded, but remained silent. And like we've talked about, maybe I was hiding. Maybe I was turning to relationships to stay away from feeling sad. How do you feel now? Dr. Edwards asked. About... Are you having those same feelings? Do you feel you have a reason to hide? Khalil hesitated before replying, enough time to realize he already had the answer in his pocket. No. Like you said, my mood's been great for months. He rested his forearms on his thighs. But still, all this... my stuff is here. He gestured to the space between them. What woman would want to deal with a man whose emotions get the better of him? Dr. Edwards raised a hand. Is it possible that you're getting ahead of yourself? First, I think it's important to recognize that it's good you're interested in meeting someone. Just meeting them. You don't have to share all of your challenges right away." Khalil nodded. Darius and Kareem were still in the dark, and they were the closest people in his life. No reason to behave differently with someone right off the bat. If you cross paths with someone, just exchange a few words. Start small. No expectations, Dr. E said. Khalil nodded, keeping his doubts to himself. All his time was spent in his barbershops and sometimes on basketball courts. It would be tough for him to naturally cross paths with a woman in either place.